Thank you for joining us on All Things Service Podcast. Today, part 2 of our interview with customer service guru, Ben. This episode is a lot more lively. Ben and I talk sports, music, movies, and spend the greater part of this episode making each other laugh. Part 2 starts now. So being a Vikings fan, let's touch on some of that. How long have you been a Vikings fan?
So that's funny you would say that, because growing up, there's photos of me when I was little, 5 years old, with a Denver Broncos sweatshirt on. I grew up Western South Dakota, so of course that's the closest team we had, and I was a Broncos fan. Didn't realize I was a Broncos fan till later in life, but I mean, it's just like, you know how, you're going to get gifts as a child by people who want you to be a Broncos fan. And that's what happened.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Later in life, I found out as I'm growing through elementary, my mom's side of the family is mainly Chiefs fans. And my dad's side of the family is mainly Broncos fans. I was like, interesting. Okay. So this is where that came from. And so I was convinced to become a Chiefs fan. That plus I loved Joe Montana at the time as well. Was done with his run with the 49ers and went to the Chiefs. I thought, okay, I become a Chiefs fan. Some of my senior pictures, I'm in Chiefs gear. It's just hilarious. Now looking back, so when I
have a picture of us together in our senior year, and you are wearing a Kansas City shirt or a hat.
I have that.
It was a hat. It was a yellow and red hat.
I have that gold windbreaker and that gold hat. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So looking like a traffic director for outside Arrowhead Stadium in that coat.
Yeah, but I think we took it in the Perkins parking lot. So you're directing traffic for the 55 and older crowd.
Oh my Lord. Tremendous 12. Oh my gosh. So when I moved to Minnesota in 2010, I went to work one day when I was at Bath and Body Works, and the people, I'm just like, my God, the fandom for the Vikings is insane. Wow. Oh my gosh. And then of course, when I started working at B-Dubs, I'm like, you know what? I have to be a Vikings fan. And I was convinced I have one of my old friends, coworkers, his name's Preston, probably one of the largest Vikings fans I know to this day. He and I went to a couple games, and I met Chris Cluey and Blair Walsh. They were giving away tickets at the Carhartt store, and I followed them on Twitter. And I was like, oh my God, I got some tickets to the Vikings game at the Metrodome at the time. And I told Preston, I was like, we're going to the game this Sunday. We're going to make it in a snowstorm to the Vikings versus the Bears. It was fun. It was fun. We took the light rail from his place, and I was like, ooh, yeah, definitely making the switch. I'm a Vikings fan now. Which is funny because how many championships do the Vikings have?
I wasn't going to bring it up, but you opened the can of worms. So
mind you, 15 years now, been a Vikings fan. Since then, how many Super Bowls have the Broncos won? One.
Yeah.
How many Super Bowls have the Chiefs won? I was like, damn it, I should have kept my Chiefs fandom.
Should have kept your Chiefs fandom.
I wouldn't trade it for the world, though. I have built such an amazing family with fellow Vikings fans. The tailgating, the viewing parties, the barbecues. If you've never been to a NFL tailgate, number one recommendation of just you have to, because you see the pride, you see the just joy and energy. People will wake up at 4 a.m. to start cooking and having Bloody Marys for a noon game.
Sign me up.
Like, sir, it's time to go to bed. One more Bloody Mary. Sorry. I don't care if you just woke up. Go back to bed. But anyway, so it's been fun seeing the history of Randy Moss and Delvin Cook, and these are just so many random Vikings players. I mean, Fran Tarkenton, obviously I wasn't a fan back then, but now that we have JJ, and again, this is going to be the season where we're going to say JJ to JJ, and I can't wait. I simply can't wait. And Stephon Diggs was a major player in my enhancement of fandom. Obviously, the Minneapolis Miracle was really cool to see. But just seeing Cam Bynum. I'm sad that we lost because we want to see that man's dancing again. I'm sure he'll do it with his next team, but again, I'm very, very excited. And this, again, the family that I've built of coworkers and friends, and I personally made other friends fans of the Vikings that you would never imagine, even caring about football. So it's always a joy to bring people together like that.
Well, and even you, Ben, because 20 years ago, I could talk football with you, but you were kind of, you really didn't follow it much. But when you
Right.
move to the big city, you tend to follow stuff a little bit more. And one of the things, like 2 years ago, my wife and I had been doing some traveling down to Florida on some business. And while we were down there, I'd never been to a hockey game. So we went to the Tampa Bay Lightning's hockey game.
I remember you told me you
Yeah,
typed
and I'd never
texted me
been. And somebody said, pay a little bit more, get tickets really close. If you're not
for
much
sure.
of a fan, just try it.
that.
We fell in love. We fell in love.
Absolutely.
Love the Tampa Bay Lightning. And so then we went to a few more games live. And 2023, we ended up in Vegas for Easter.
You go see the Golden Knights?
We did. Wanted to take
Nice.
my mom. It was her first year without my dad being around for Easter. So my sisters took mom for Christmas and New Year's. My other sister had her over Thanksgiving. And so we said, why don't we take her? We're going to go do something for Easter. Go to Las Vegas. We take my mom, who I don't think she's ever watched hockey in her life.
Uh-huh.
We take her to a Golden Knights game. And it was so much fun. My mom had a blast. She enjoyed it. And so, now that we're living in Dallas, well, I'm going to become a Stars fan. Why wouldn't I?
Right.
Lightning are I love the Lightning. I love the Lightning because they're the team that got it all started. But I am living in Dallas. I'm supporting the Stars. I'm not going to support the Mavericks because Luka, and we're not even gonna go into that. I moved down here, and I'm going to get to the camaraderie here in a second, but you become a fan of the Stars, and it's amazing. We went last Thursday night. We saw the Tampa Bay Lightning. They were in town. We took the family to the game, and I didn't care. Of course, I wanted the Stars to win. Half of the kids are wearing Stars stuff. Half of them are wearing Lightning stuff. And
Well, that's cool.
yes, and you know what? They lost in overtime. It was a fantastic game, but at the end of the game, we were like, they lost, but Tampa Bay won, and we had a fun time. But being in a big city like this where you have sports franchises, it's hard not to get drawn into them, unless you're a hardcore Cowboys fan and you move to Dallas, because then you realize everybody around Dallas really does not like Jerry Jones and they don't support Jerry Jones. The amount of people that I talk to down here and they're like, we don't even bother we don't pay to go to the games. You go to the bars and watch, you go to B-dubs and you watch. That's what you do, or you watch at home. They don't pay. They don't support Jerry Jones. And so, of course, the Rangers, we go to a lot of the Rangers stuff too. So, but that camaraderie, when you're part of a bigger city and you're a sports fan, it's hard not to get drawn and pulled into that and everything that comes with it.
Yeah, it's a culture appreciator, I guess, your surroundings and your like where you live, like I said, because no matter what background you come from, no matter what your religious, political affiliation is, so everybody is on the same team when it comes to the Minnesota Vikings.
Yep.
And it's just it brings people together, and that's what I love and appreciate about every Sunday when you get
Sunday.
it's just,
I'm a huge Notre Dame fan. Dad liked Notre Dame. We had a good family friend who was a little bit older back when my dad was in the restaurant industry. A gentleman used to come in and see my dad all the time and have pie and coffee. And they kept in touch. And when we moved back to Montana 30 years ago, they became friends. And anyways, he was a huge Notre Dame fan. All three of us talked all the time back. This is 20 years ago. We're going to go see a Notre Dame game. That was kind of a big thing. Well, we never made it. Both of them have since passed on. So I moving to Dallas last year. One of the first things I thought is, I wonder if Notre Dame's going to be around here. Their opening game is being played. This is last year. Their opening game is being played at Texas A&M down in College Station. Okay. I'm like, we are going. I tell Jen we're going. I tell the kids we're going. I'm like, we are going to make this. This is going to be awesome. And get our Notre Dame gear on. We drive down to College Station. I thought the camaraderie for NFL stuff was on another level. And maybe it's just specific to Texas A&M. Over 100,000 fans were at that game.
It boggles my mind how college stadiums are like way bigger than
my gosh.
any other stadium.
And loud. I've never heard anything like it in my life. Everybody that's tailgating, Texas A&M colors all over the place. The amount of people that are walking in and out of not in, out, just they're walking to the arena. Right. And I had a friend who would actually play baseball on a scholarship at Texas A&M. And he's like, dude, you don't even know. It is the fan camaraderie is on an entirely different level at Texas A&M. I couldn't believe it. It was, I actually kind of thought, well, you know what? Maybe I need to, go and enroll in school and move down to Texas A&M. Finally go get my degree in something now. It's a different level.
So yes.
And I've known you a long time. You and I have went to a lot of concerts together.
Right.
That is one of the favorite things that you like to do is go to concerts.
It's my heart and soul.
It's your heart.
It's what keeps me thriving. I honestly don't know what I would do without concerts. There's nothing in this world that is better for a person's soul, heart, and mind. And I'm talking about me.
For sure.
And a lot of other people, don't get me wrong, than concerts. I consider like street performers with a guitar. You're watching someone's concert that they're putting on for you. They're putting their everything into entertaining you. There's nothing wrong with stopping to listen to a dude play his cello or even the drums outside the arenas. And by all means, don't just stand there for 10 minutes and just walk by. You pay for concerts. Give them money, tip him
I'm or her. Play my recorder outside. Would you walk by and tip me for that? I think I know hot cross buns.
Oh my God.
No, you're absolutely right. Jen and I, we love doing that. Every year we go to Cancun. We're part of something called the Sands. You and I have vast different tastes in music, and I'm going to touch on that in a few minutes. But I love classic rock, 70s, 80s and 90s, absolutely. You want anything in the 80s, I'm your guy. I mean, look, I'm drinking out of a Back to the Future glass. So you want something that's 80s and 90s nostalgia music. That's my stuff. So every year, Jen and I go to something in Cancun. It's called the Sands. It's a big week long. It's like going to adult camp for a week, and your favorite artists, bands from the 80s are there. Actors and actresses from the 80s are there, and they hang out with you. They talk with you. The MTV VJs are there. Downtown Julie Brown is right next to you getting coffee. It's amazing for somebody like me because I get to see these people in their real world. You remember the 80s actress Tiffany? Jen's a huge fan. Jen was like, oh, I just don't want to approach her. And I'm like, we're going. Take her. Jen and Tiffany sat there and talked for a few minutes. And so when you have that music and then you get a shout out or you get to meet somebody that you're passionate about like that, it takes it on to a whole nother level. And I think you probably know where I'm going with this because I've been a part of several meet and greets or getting called out by Justin Timberlake. I want to hear some of those stories. Tell us some of those stories about you met Taylor Swift in Gap, but before Taylor Swift was really Taylor Swift.
Right.
Tay.
Yeah. And that's how it's funny because I had a shirt made of the photo of her and me.
Of course you did.
Took up the entire front of the shirt. I had that made, so I was like, I know just what to wear to the Eras tour, and I'm going to blow everyone away by my fit. So I did. I took the picture from August of 2007, and I put it on a shirt. And where that picture originated from, I was working at the Gap back in the day at the Rushmore Mall in Rapid City, South Dakota. And there was a country singer named Neil McCoy. And you might know him. Exactly. Or the Shake.
Or the Shake. I remember that one. Did he have another one called the Shimmy?
After hours, yes. Well, anyway.
Special invite only.
He was playing at the Central States Fair in Rapid City. And I saw the ads coming up because who else was playing that year? I think Josh Turner and Jody Messina. So they had some pretty good acts.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, Taylor Swift. I was like, who's Taylor Swift? That's literally probably the first and only time I've ever asked that question in my life. And so my friend Jamie at the time says to me, he's like, hey, have you heard or have you seen the new song on Apple, on iTunes? It's a free song of the week called Tim McGraw. I was like, there's a song called Tim McGraw. I'm confused, right? And he's like, yeah, a girl named Taylor Swift sings it. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, and
That's who
and
Taylor
Tim
Swift
McGraw's
is.
not on the song.
Right. So I said, oh, okay, so I put two and two together. That's who Taylor Swift is. She sings that song, Tim McGraw. So I downloaded the song for free, and I just hear this teenage girl singing this little song about Tim McGraw. I was like, oh, that's adorable. And I'm like, don't know if I would want to see that live, but whatever. I'm going to see Neil McCoy is why I'm going. Well, anyway, a week later, my friend Jamie says to me, he's like, Ben, what are you going to do if Taylor Swift comes into the Gap and asks for your assistance? And I was like, get out of here. That's the end of that conversation. A week later, here I am at the Gap, random Saturday afternoon. We're cleaning out the fitting rooms, and we're pretty busy cleaning out the fitting rooms, putting stuff away, just making sure the store looks beautiful. All of a sudden, this random teenage girl comes up to me, and she's like, hi, can I get a fitting room? I look at her, and I was like, gosh, she looks familiar. And I'm thinking to myself, well, we get a lot of repeat customers weekly. And I was like, oh, she's probably a high school girl that I've talked to in the past. And I said, yeah, absolutely. I said, how many garments do you have? Whatever. So the way the architecture of the store was in the back behind the registers was our fitting room area. There was 8 fitting rooms. 7 of them were in a row. And then across the hall, there was one fitting room next to the attendance room. And I said, I'll put you in this one. I said, I consider it the VIP room. And she kind of giggled way harder than she should have giggled, I guess. And I was like, I didn't think it was that funny, but whatever. So I put her stuff in there, and I said, my name's Ben. If you need anything else, let me know. And she's like, okay, sounds good. And I come around the corner after I give her fitting room, and my coworker, Adam, he's like, do you know who that was? I was like, no, I didn't ask her name. Who is that? He's like, that was Taylor Swift. I was like, you're joking. I'm like, that's why she looks so familiar. Oh, wow. Okay, cool. And then right about that time is when the store started to be like ungodly busy, and the mall security was coming, and I was like, oh, geez, word spread that she's in the mall. So, of course, thank God for mall security. They helped us out, and it was fine. It was fine. More exposure for the store. We're having a good time. So I thought, I know we're not supposed to have our phones on the sales floor, but, I got to get my photo with her because I got to show Jamie that, yes, she did come see me. So I bolt to the back, get my...
hold on. She didn't go to the Gap to see Ben.
She went to the Gap to shop for a purple cable knit sweater, a little black dress, and a black bomber jacket is what she came to the Gap for. She just so happened to be graced by my presence.
She should have been asking you for a picture.
Correct. So I bolt to the back. My boss, Amy, was back there at the time. I was like, Amy, oh my gosh, guess who's in the store? I was like, I got to get a photo with them. I grabbed my phone out of my little locker, and she's like, who? And I was like, Taylor Swift. And she's like, oh my gosh. Well, Amy misheard me, and she was like, wait, is that the guy on American Idol? I'm like, no, you fool. I was like, guy. And she's like, wait, what did you say? I said, Taylor Swift. She's like, oh my God, I thought you said Taylor Hicks. I was like, I'm done with you. I got to go. So I have my Motorola flip phone.
Taylor Hicks. That's a name I haven't heard in 20 years.
To be fair, he did have a bomb cover of We Didn't Start the Fire by Bruce Springsteen.
Oh gosh, Ben.
Or is it somebody else that sings?
No, yeah, no. We Didn't Start the Fire is Billy Joel.
Oh,
my
my bad.
80s stuff is gonna come in. I'm gonna have to correct you. He actually did have a cover of Bruce Springsteen, and it was...
Yeah, okay, so I knew it was Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, it was Bruce Springsteen, but Billy Joel sings We Didn't Start the Fire. The cover that Taylor Hicks had of Bruce Springsteen...
Dancing in... Yeah.
It was Dancing in the Dark. That's the one he had. So I had to correct you because, God forbid, somebody like myself who is a expert in all things 80s is going to allow you to, first of all, put a sentence with Billy Joel and Taylor Hicks in the same sentence. and second of all, get the wrong song. We need to make credit where credit is due. I like Bruce Springsteen, but Bruce Springsteen is no Billy Joel. And Taylor Hicks is
okay. Anyways, now
not
that you
either one of
clarified,
them.
sorry about that. It was actually Taylor Swift, yes. And so I go down to the end of the hall, and I get her, knock on her door and ask if she needs any further assistance. And she said, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to take these. These are perfect. I'm like, okay, sounds good. So I ring her up. I said, after I got done taking care of her, ringing up her purchase and all that, I said, before you get bombarded by everybody else, I said, can I ask a favor? I said, may I have a photo with you? And she's like, yeah, absolutely. And, to this day, I still see her introduce herself to people, and I will never forget. She holds her hand out and she says, by the way, I'm Taylor. She just responds. She does that to this day, holds her hand out and say, I'm Taylor. She knows that people know who the hell she is now, but just that common courtesy and her down to earth and humbleness, she's still that person, which I love.
I love that too. On the other hand, Taylor Hicks, when he comes to shake your hand, he's like, I'm Taylor Hicks. I was once on American Idol. And people are still like, who?
Right, exactly.
Sorry, I had to add that in.
No, you're good.
So Taylor Swift, you're at backstage press release or something for Justin Timberlake.
What are you talking about?
Didn't he once look at you and call out and said, you're happy to be here, Ben, or something like that?
Oh, no. My sister and I got invited to the sound check prior. And oh my gosh, this was like 4 hours prior to the beginning of the show. And
this is Justin. This is not In Sync.
This is In Sync, actually. But it just so happened.
Okay.
It just so happened to be Justin that he asked, he's like, where'd everybody travel from? See who the furthest is. So I raised my hand up and he pointed to me and he said, I said, South Dakota. And this was, mind you, this was back in 1999. And he's like, man, that's far. And I'm like, it's really not. Like 5 hours.
He's like, how many days did you travel to get here?
I know, right?
So back in high school, I remember a lot of the music we used to listen to. You actually are the reason I became a country fan. The only country I listened to was Garth Brooks, but you turned me on to a lot of different country artists as well. One of the big things that we always used to debate about is I would constantly tell you that I'd tell you that New Kids on the Block was better than Backstreet and Backstreet was and better than NSYNC as well. So being somebody who born and raised, grew up in the 90s, you were a fan of a lot of pop music, right? Street or NSYNC?
NSYNC, hands down.
Hands down. And why?
I just enjoyed their music more. I thought I Want You Back was way better than Quit Playing Games with My Heart, if we're talking about debut singles. And then
were you a fan of the Backstreet Boys before NSYNC came into the picture?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And see, here's the thing with the question you just asked me is something that still get a bad thing. It's just an odd thing that people do. They pit people like up against each other.
I'm not trying to pit you together because NSYNC, I mean, Joe Fatone's out there doing stuff with half of the Backstreet guys.
Right. Right. Which I love.
And Wanye with Boys to Men is a part of them.
Right. Right.
I love it. Yeah. So, I mean, back then, yeah, it was actually, I mean, I'm sure you had chicks fighting over, getting into big, cat fights over who was better, NSYNC or Backstreet Boys.
Right. I can't even imagine if social media was a thing back then, the conflict that people would have. Good Lord. I mean, by all means, that same demographic still argue probably to this day. I mean, yeah, we all have our favorites, but don't make me choose. Like, why can't I like them all? Right. But I do understand that they were trying to combat all that by going on tour together. When Backstreet and New Kids on the Block did the NKOT BSB tour, a genius on their part, because you had the moms and the daughters that there was something for both of them.
And there's been people that have asked for years, why don't we get a Backstreet Boys and an NSYNC? Not just you put those two together, you're probably getting a stadium tour.
Right. Oh my God, of course.
Will it ever happen?
Not those two groups, but I think NSYNC alone when they ultimately, hopefully, one day decide to do their reunion tour.
And Joey Fatone, recently I just saw an interview with him where he was saying that they haven't talked about it since the year ended, but they need to have conversations. And he said a lot of the problem that they have is all 5 of them have families now.
Right.
And all 5 of them to be able to carve out time to be able to do a tour. And they don't feel like it's just going to be a one-off tour in the United States. They feel like it would probably be a world tour.
It would have to be.
Yeah, he have to be. So one of the other things that he brought up, he's like, so would it be better for us to do a Vegas residency? Would it be better, to do other things? So it's obvious that there's members of NSYNC that want it. Do you feel like the reason it hasn't happened is because of Justin?
I wouldn't say the number one sole reason, but definitely a very, very big factor. And of course, his PR team had quite the task last year.
Even with ticket sales, with years before, Justin's selling out arenas everywhere, and now
the Future Sex Love Show was one of the best concerts that
we saw
any
him,
pop artist possibly could have had.
We saw him in 2019. What tour was that?
That was that Man of the Wood.
Man of the Wood. See, okay, so like 80s stuff, I got 80s questions. I'm the guy you're going to ask. Pop culture or, newer stuff like that. Those types. I can't tell you what tour Duran was on in 88, but that kind of stuff.
But you know what? Thank God for Google.
But yeah, exactly. But you weren't quick enough just to Google that right then. So we're talking though, NSYNC, if they ever get back and they have a reunion, you'll be there, obviously.
Of course. With bells on and whistles and everything else.
So I think a lot of fans of NSYNC really felt slighted by them coming out and teasing like there was going to be a reunion. And then they did a lot of stuff that made it seem like they were onto something, but it was just a recording for trolls.
Right. They came out with a brand new song for the new Trolls movie.
Right.
And okay, I'm not going to lie. Early 2000s, like, oh my God, I can't believe I almost said late 1900s. If that doesn't age us.
Right.
The 90s, sorry.
I was born in the 1900s.
That song would have thrived back then. But you know what? They tried to do the exact same formula from back then and bring it back. No, people want Chappell Roan. People want Shawn Mendes. If you're going to try to do a boy band thing, you got to have, look at One Direction, even One Direction.
On who?
Who?
Shawn
Mendes. Do you not know who Shawn Mendes is?
Okay, and I do.
Oh my God.
I always do stuff to my kids though when they're listening to music. I always get the names wrong, or like Maddie
on purpose.
For sure. Maddie listens to Kane Brown and I call him Kanye Brown. I'm like,
ooh, that would make a lot of people
who's that
mad.
Kanye Brown guy you're always listening to? Or they'll be listening to like the song Cake by the Ocean, and I'm like, oh, which one of the Jonas Boys is this, or Jonas Brothers is this, or because
it is one of the Jonas
no. Okay, no. Then I do. No, I'm sorry. I thought that was Shawn Mendes. So I'll say, isn't that Shauna guy that sings "Cake by the Ocean"? They're like, it's not him. It's the Jonas Brothers. So I purposely like do stuff to get them going because they think I'm like that old dad that doesn't know, but I know. Right. I just play stupid,
Was it you that time? Were you playing It's My Life by Bon Jovi? And I was like, oh my God, I love Poison. And you're like, this is not Poison. Poison could never.
That was me. And I went through a phase of my own where for about 12 years, Bon Jovi was no longer a part of my life. Like, I was a huge Bon Jovi fan and I cut Bon Jovi out of my life. You couldn't play Bon Jovi in the vehicles at work, at my office. If any of my staff was playing Bon Jovi, I told them it was an automatic write-up. Like,
do you think it was because they gave love a bad name?
No, I think it's because I was shot through the heart.
Same song. But hey, it's your life. Now or never.
Now or never. Well, I guess I'll have to think about that always.
Yes. I'm over that.
So let's our love for music came together a couple years ago. And if you remember, you and I got to try out for, do you remember them?
Game show.
A game show. We did.
Shazam. Was it Shazam?
Yep, Beat Shazam.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, Beat Shazam. Yeah.
Beat Shazam. Our whole family, we used to watch Beat Shazam all the time. Now, for those of you out there that aren't familiar with what Beat Shazam is a game show. It's almost like Name That Tune. Jamie Foxx is the host, and
It's literally Name That Tune, just kind of a different brand.
so we always said, well, we need to try to be a part of this. And Jenna put in 2020 or 2021, somewhere around there, for us to be able to be on the show. We got contacted, I want to say it was like December of 2021, to be a part of the show, to try out. And we're like, is this legit? Is this really it? You know, well, it was. And they were filming in Ireland. The timing wasn't going to work for us. So we just said, look, we can't do it this year, but keep our names and numbers in case you do it. You know, think of us again. About 2 years ago, I get a text message on my phone from one of the producers of Beat Shazam. And he's like, is this Nick Lambert? And I said, yes. Are you still interested in trying out for Beat Shazam? So immediately I'm like, this is somebody's hoaxing me here. This is not accurate. So sure enough, it was true. And so I got to go on and try out for Beat Shazam. And they were still filming in Ireland, but they were looking for people that had big personalities to come on the show. So
and they called you?
That's why I called you.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I tried out with Ben. Or I'm sorry, not Ben. No, first I tried out. So the first tryout we did was this video tryout. And they run you through like 15 Name That Tune songs. You're almost over Zoom, you're doing it, and they treat it like it's the show, and they're recording it, and you're supposed to dance and have a good time and everything. Well, Jen and I, and then Jen's brother Joel, tried out for it at that time. And so they said, well, thank you for your time. We'll appreciate it. We'll be back in contact. And I had originally thought of you, and we had tried to get you on as one of the people trying out, but you had a work conflict and you weren't able to get out of work for the tryout time.
Right.
So we go back. I get an email that says, Nick, we loved you, but we didn't really like your wife or your brother-in-law. Do you have anybody else that can match your energy? So immediately I send back, I called her and I had a conversation. I said, well, I'm not going to do this if my wife can't be a part of it. Right. And she says, well, if that's this is not your way or this is not your way, or she's like,
deuces.
Yeah. Deuces. She's like, and now we're going to cave. She's pretty much like, look, you're going to lose this opportunity. The producers want you with somebody else. Do you have any other friends that can match that energy? And I said, well, yeah, actually I do. We tried to get him on the first one. We couldn't. So I got Ben on. And here's the thing. Jen and I had talked for years, right? That if we could ever be on like a Name That Tune, the 70s and 80s and most of the 90s, I've got down packed. Past that, forget about it. But Ben would be a great partner because Ben's got everything 90s, 2000s, 2010s, 2020s, 2000. I mean, he's got that whole knowledge. So what was funny about it is you and I actually got to try out for Beat Shazam. Really how these tryouts work is you try out for the first round. They're like, all right, you're good. We're going to do a callback. Well, Ben and I, they weren't doing the callback on. They were actually on the Zoom call, and they're like, we did our first tryout. I think we got like 13 out of the 15 songs. It was really close.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we matched the energy. You know, we're dancing, we're having a good time and everything. And they said,
mind you, it was difficult because he is in Montana at the time, and I'm in Minnesota, and it's with a producer that's in California
on a Zoom.
And on a Zoom. So it's like, okay, how is this going to go? I had no idea what to expect.
I did. Well, I did from the first one, but, and it's a mock. Right? You're doing the mock Beat Shazam. They run it through like you're on the game show. So when they pick, you know, when you get the answer right, you're supposed to celebrate and, you know, dancing and stuff like that. So I'm like doing all these horrible 80s dances that I can't dance anyways. I wish there was video of this because we could put this out and they'd probably go viral. Old man trying to be hip. I'm born in 1900s trying to be hip.
Old man breaks hip trying to be one.
So Ben and I, we try out and we get through the first level and the guy says, okay, now the next level is we do a call back. And then he's like, wait a minute, do you guys have to be anywhere right now? And we said, no. He says, I'm going to see if I can get you guys. He's like, I love you guys. I want to push you all the way through. All of a sudden we go this next producer and they run us through another mock. And this one's quite a bit different. This one, if you remember the one before, we got answers on the screen. This one we didn't.
Right.
And we,
Right. And this one, they didn't tell you if you got your answer right or wrong. They just, it was like a test.
It was like a test.
You didn't know.
but we
Yeah.
knew, you and I knew we did really good. I think at the end,
Oh
he
my
said-
God, yeah.
I think at the end he said you got 23 out of 25. And so Ben, and he's like, look, I love you. You guys have the energy we're looking for. We're going to see what we can do. And so they put us on hold again. Then they patch us back to the original guy with somebody else. And they run us through this third final round type thing. And we go through that. Everything's looking great. And it sounds like you and I are headed to Ireland for a taping of Beat Shazam. I mean,
Right.
when we got off of that Zoom, you and I were both like, oh man, I think we did it. I think we made it.
Right.
Beat Shazam, you have a chance to win $1 million. And with your music knowledge and my music knowledge, I'm very confident we probably could have won.
We could have.
I think we could have.
100% wholeheartedly agree.
What happened?
I don't know.
We never heard back.
No, we never heard back.
We never heard back. And so Ben and I have been.
And that was a service fail on their part. Sorry to interrupt. That was a service fail on their part because why would you leave someone hanging like that after you built them up and you gave them so much confidence and you got their hopes up so high?
Not only that, telling us we don't ever do this, but we're pushing you through as fast as we can because we want you to get through these 3 rounds so we can take you in front of producers and pick you. So
Right. We were literally interviewed and short of given a job offer, ghosted. One just completely ghosted. And that is hands down the most disrespectful thing you could possibly do to someone that you're trying to get some form of deal with.
Absolutely. I quit watching Beat Shazam. I've never watched another episode since. They lost 1 viewer out of that. Not that they
Right.
care. They're like,
Right.
by not
Well-
having you on, we gained like 1,000 more. So,
Oh,
but
jeez.
But the only thing I can think of, Ben, they want people with big personalities. They want people who are having a good time. They want people that are good with music knowledge, but they don't want people who are too good.
Right.
Because
right.
the last thing Fox wants to have to do is pay $1 million.
Right. Right.
I honestly think you and I were so good together that they looked at it and they said, energy, they got it. You know, friends for a long time, meet that kind of criteria. Yeah. Music,
Light roasting of each other.
yeah, because we would roast each other and they were laughing. They were laughing their butts off on that. And then the last thing. Yeah, you guys are just a little too good. So I quit watching.
That or we were a threat of some sort, which I will never understand. But you know what? Life goes on.
Life goes on. But we still have an amazing story that we are able to tell about being able to try out for Beat Shazam and get in front of
Great memory.
these producers that were actual producers for Beat Shazam, moving it up the ladder to the main guy. It's like you're going through level 1 and then you knock that boss out. You're going to go to level 2, knock that boss. You keep going until you knock him out. Last thing I want to visit with you about, you love music. We all know that. You also love movies. And not a lot of people know this, or maybe they do, but Ben is great at being able to quote some movies by heart. And not only that, sounding a lot like them. What's your favorite movie to quote lines from?
There's a few.
I like that. There's a few, and
There's definitely a few.
Don't know if I want to do it because it's recording.
Mrs. Doubtfire.
Mrs. Doubtfire.
Sister Act.
Sister
Ghost. Christmas Vacation.
Classic.
Yes. Coming to America.
Coming to America. Did you like the second one?
I did. I knew that they weren't able to be nearly as raunchy and explicit as they were on the first one.
A different society today.
Right. Exactly. That plus some of the stuff they say back then would not pass.
But we still got a Randy Watson sexual chocolate reunion. And how great was that?
We did. We did, yes. And Reverend Brown.
And Reverend Brown. Y'all look so lovely this evening. Why don't you give yourselves a round of applause?
Yeah, that's definitely one of our favorites to quote together.
Yes.
Yeah.
We used to
and
actually
like I
call
said,
each other, leaving each other voice messages, doing impressions from Coming to America.
we did. We did. I need to start calling you doing ghost impressions
Ghost
now.
impression. Yeah, so
And by ghost, I mean like Whoopi Goldberg.
like Whoopi Goldberg. Why don't you give us a little ghost impersonation?
You know, he's stuck. That's what it is. He's in between worlds. You know what happens sometimes when the spirit gets yanked out too fast? The essence still feels like it has work to do here. It's like, do you stop rambling? I don't think I'm rambling. I'm just answering her question. He's got an attitude now. I don't have an attitude. Yes, you do have an attitude. We held a little discussion. If you didn't have an attitude, you would not have raised your voice to me now, would you? God damn it, Odomie. Don't you goddamn it me. Don't you take the Lord's name in vain. Would you relax? No, you relax. You're the dead guy. You want me to help you? You better apologize. Tell him, Christ, that's it. I'm not talking to him. Nobody talks to me that way. Nobody talks to me that way. He's like, I'm sorry. I apologize. Now, would you sit down? He's apologized. I need you to tell Molly what I'm saying, but you have to tell her word for word, all right? Word for word. Yes, he wants me to tell you what he's saying word for word. Molly, you're in danger. And you can't just blurt it out like that and quit moving around, will you? Because it's starting to make me dizzy. I just tell it in my own way. Molly, you in danger, girl. What are you talking about? I know the man who killed me. Says he knows the man who killed him. His name is Willie Lopez. I know where he lives. His name is Willie Lopez. He's Puerto Rican. He knows where he lives. Write it down. He wants you to write it down. You write it down. I ain't no damn secretary. Just do it. See, I cracked myself up to it. I actually haven't done that in a very long time, so I'm shocked I remembered that.
You've done a fantastic job with that. That's always one of my favorites that you quote when you're doing that. So
yeah, it's just so that's an example of one of my faves. I've been doing that for decades. My friend Jamie, when he comes to visit me from San Diego every time, one of the first questions he asks, not how are you, not how have you been? He's like, what's the account number? I was like, oh, now I know what he's talking about, because I was like 926-31043, and he just cracks up so bad because he knows that's Rita Miller / Odomie's account number from the bank.
I haven't seen that movie in years. When you start quoting Ghost, it's like, I know exactly what scene you're at.
Right. My mom has a VHS tape of me when I was 6th grade.
Georgine, you need to send this to me.
Singing Hail Holy Queen into my karaoke machine in the living room. And I was more than happy to do that.
Oh my God. I love that. I do have a question for you.
I have an answer. I'll let you go first.
Okay. Where do I go to find nice young woman?
We got library, church. Oh, I'm going here tonight. Black awareness rally. Good, clean girl.
Gonna be some fine women there. Some good, clean girls.
Oh, I can't stand you.
Donation.
I thought it was trash.
Don't be getting on me. Calm down. There's women up there.
That's a very explicit movie that I don't feel comfortable.
We can cut that part out. But,
yes.
I tell you, you can go to 8507 Queens Boulevard.
Oh, jeez.
Bring the kind of money that falls.
I use that number as my password on a lot of things.
Of course you do.
Yes, my code to get into this is 8507. Has been for years, so obviously now I'm gonna have to change it.
No, that's hysterical. Ben, I got a special treat for y'all this evening. A young man, as you all know, is Joe the Policeman on the That's Going Down episode of That's My Mama. I want you to put your hands together. Warm round of applause for Jackson Heights' own Mr. Randy Watson. Hey, how about it?
That boy's good.
Good and terrible.
Oh my God, you've perfected that. That actually sounded better than you always used to do.
And Reverend Brown, y'all look so even. Why don't you give you a sounds round of applause? And Reverend Brown. This man been my reverend since I was a little boy.
Everyone's sitting there like, we don't care.
And he kisses them. He gives him that look like, what the hell?
Right. Oh, jeez.
Aha. Aha.
Taste the soup.
What's wrong with the soup? Is it too hot? Is it too cold? Just taste the soup.
Oh my God, I've never heard you do that impression before. I loved that.
Is it too hot? Is it too cold? Just taste the soup. Aha. Yeah, you know, good.
Oh my God, Nick, that was so good. I've never heard you do that.
Joe Louis come in here the other day, and I said, Joe Louis, how old is Joe Louis? He said, 157 years old. Joe Louis is 157 years old.
Man, get out of here.
You ain't never met no Joe Louis.
Frank Sinatra.
Yeah, you ain't never met no Frank Sinatra. Well, Ben, we've had a lot of fun. We've laughed on here. We've told stories. I hope that we've pulled back the curtain a little bit to people that know Ben, but really don't know Ben. Some of your friends may have heard some stories that even they don't know about. Ben, what's the best advice you would give to somebody right now that is looking at getting into concierge, or somebody that's wanting to get into the same type of realm that you are servicing?
Never take anything personal and never take anything for granted. Those are the two biggest lessons I've learned in my career, my retail career, hospitality career, everything. You are there for 40 hours a week, sometimes 50 hours a week. Do not let that be your number one focus outside of work. A lot of people love their jobs and careers so much. Nothing wrong with that at all. To each their own. But my realm of work, you can only take so much home with you without getting overstressed. It's just advice that I've been given to from my dad. And he always told me, you get out what you put in. You're going to have tough days, but you got to keep striving, keep going forward. Nothing wrong with that at all.
Nothing wrong with that at all. Nope. But that's what it's about. Just getting up and keep it going no matter what.
Or so don't take anything personal too, because yes, people are going to have a bad day in the service industry. Whether it's you, whether it's your clientele, whether it's your guest, you don't ever take anything personal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be the hero in the situation. Be the bigger man. Be the bigger woman. Be the person to be recognized. Because if you take someone's, this sounds so cheesy, but I've learned this. When you take someone's frown and turn it upside down, best feeling in the world.
Absolutely. Well, and not only that, you never know what people are going through and what their struggle is. And so treating everybody, with love and kindness goes a long way.
Right.
Not everybody's going to treat you with love and kindness, but I find that if I get up in the morning with that mindset that I'm going to treat others how I feel like I would want them to treat me,
right,
then I'm going to be doing pretty good.
Right. Amen. I hear you.
So we've had some really great conversation, Ben. There's so many more stories. We didn't even get into your Native American heritage, which I love some of those stories. I'm definitely going to need to bring you on again. And, maybe even do one in person, because Ben and I have plans when the NFL releases their schedule here shortly. Ben's going to come down here to Texas, going to spend some time with us, and we're going to go to the Cowboys-Vikings game. I'm going to go as a Vikings fan, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Skull, baby.
Oh, was it like Skull? Did I do that right?
Yes, that's exactly
I need to work on it. I need to work on it. My dad taught me a lot of things, but my dad didn't ever teach me to skull. No, I'm not talking the dip type of skull.
Oh my God. I was more of a Copenhagen boy. Big Chris Ledoux fan. Oh my God.
Didn't Jeff Foxworthy have a song about Copenhagen too?
Probably. That sounds on brand for him.
Well, Ben, I end every podcast with the same two things that I tell everybody. Love everybody always, which I know you do a fantastic job of. We've been friends for so long. The way that you embrace people, no matter their beliefs, no matter their religion, what they're doing, doesn't matter. You take good care of people. You're known around the JW brand as somebody who they know if they need a guest that is going to be difficult, you're going to be the guy that's going to be able to take care of them and make their day a little bit brighter. Like you say, turn that frown upside down. Right. And then the other thing I always like to say is, may the best of your past be the worst of your future. That's some deep.
That is.
Yeah. That's some deep. Yeah. So grab another glass of wine, mull that one over.
Don't have to tell me twice. And we'll revisit that quote this fall.